Ready to make your move? Connect with Realtor Chris Hall today.
At Island Dreams Plumbing, we bring 3 generations of expertise to every job, delivering top-notch service with honesty and heart. As a micro-sized company, we focus on quality over quantity, ensuring every customer gets the attention they deserve. Integrity is our foundation, and no matter the job, we do it right the first time. Proudly serving our Keller neighbors and the greater DFW area. Call Island Dreams Plumbing today at 817-343-9800. Where Island vibes meet expert solutions.
Ready to buy or sell your home? At Next Home Real Estate Advisors, we make the process simple and stress-free. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upgrading to your dream home, or looking for luxury, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Because at Next Home, it's not just about houses, it's about you. Call us today at 817-937-5585 or visit nexthomrea.com to get started on your next move.
Caitlin Fleming Photography is a fun, charismatic storytelling photographer based out of Fort Worth, Texas. Caitlin was put on this planet to be your friend, make you feel beautiful, and capture your inspiring and once-in-a-lifetime experiences. From graduation, family photos, newborn and maternity, to wedding or literally anything else, she's got you covered. Caitlin strives to make sure you're having fun. She's not just your photographer, she is your friend too. Reach out for your next photo session at CaitlinFlemingPhoto.com. At Keleva Plan, we believe planning should be both pretty and practical. Our planners and stickers help you stay organized while making planning easy and fun. Whether you're a teacher, a busy mom, or just love to plan, we've got everything you need to plan a life you love. Shop now at KelevaPlan.com and let's plan life together. Hello, Heritage neighbors. This is Krista Qualls, nurse practitioner, owner and operator of KQ Aesthetics. Call or text 817-727-3156 to get you scheduled for a free consultation. Let's discuss all things skin health and wellness. I look forward to meeting you very soon.
Smokin' Axes in Keller is a fantastic family-friendly activity. And we've been loving being in Keller since we opened in 2019. It's a unique experience where kids ages 8 and up can safely join in on the fun, learn new skills, and enjoy some healthy competition. Whether it's a weekend outing or a special celebration, it's an amazing way to bond, laugh, and create unforgettable memories. Plus, it's right here in our community. What a great value for family time.
Hi neighbors! My small business is Stagey Bakes for all your bakery needs. Visit stageybakes.org or our social media on Facebook or Instagram for cakes, cupcakes, cookies, sourdough bread, pies, or custom orders. We offer classes for decorating cookies, cakes, and sourdough bread baking for all ages. Delivery is now available in Keller, Fort Worth, and surrounding areas. Stagey Bakes, you deserve a sweet treat.
At the Heritage Clubhouse, it's Tuesday night. Hi, everybody. I'm Rusty Fuller. I'm president of the North Fort Worth Alliance, and we really thank you for being here tonight. Thank you to Heritage HOA for loaning us the space, and I have a whole list of people to thank here. Our AV is provided tonight by sponsors on Sparky's Video Productions, Jennifer Samuels put together this important night for all of us in all of the school district. I've never seen her herd cats before, but boy, she did it. You know, this is important for our school district. Oftentimes we don't get a chance to hear from the candidates, and so we have a chance now. Know your candidates, spread the word, and get your neighbors out to vote. You've got early voting and you got voting on the day. Get them out to vote. We have a petition over here in the alcove that calls for individual voting districts within Keller ISD versus the current method that we use where all candidates are at large. If you'd like to sign that petition, you can sign that petition over there. We need 15,000 signatures in order to get it on the ballot in November. So don't be shy. We're fortunate to have several of the candidates here, 6 of the candidates here. Everyone was asked. Those who are not here declined to come. For your MC tonight is a columnist from the Star-Telegram, Bud Kennedy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We have a lot of questions and we have a lot of candidates, so I'm going to get right into it here. Did you want to, or we can introduce I'll let you all introduce yourselves down the line as you answer the first question. We'll start here with Scott Bruce in place 1. Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you motivated to run for the board. What's something unique that you bring to help you serve this district?
Well, thank you, Bud, and I want to thank the North Fort Worth Alliance, Jennifer Samuels, Rusty, Sparky, everybody else that was involved in putting this candidate forum together tonight. So I'm a parent of 3. 2 of my kids currently attend schools in Keller ISD, and I'm deeply committed to the success of our students and the strength of our district. Over the past decade, I've served the Keller ISD community in multiple capacities, starting with partnering with the Counseling and Intervention Department to pilot a youth mentoring program, and continuing through my volunteer work with Watchdogs, All Pro Dads, the Timber Creek Athletic Booster Club, and even participating in student mock interviews recently at KCAL. I've made it a point to be present, involved, and connected, not just on special occasions, but consistently. Whether helping set up for games, mentoring students, or working behind the scenes, I've seen firsthand the heart of this district, and I believe we can do better to lift it up. I've also served as an adjunct instructor at the university level for over 10 years, which has shown me where the gaps often exist in students' readiness for college and life after graduation. That experience drives me to advocate for stronger foundational skills, career exploration, and emotional resilience. Skills that serve students whether they go to college, start a trade, enter the workforce, or even the military. Professionally, I've led large teams, managed substantial budgets, always with a focus on people, operational excellence, and results. In addition to my professional and teaching experience, I hold 3 graduate degrees in business administration, industrial organizational psychology, and recently public administration and leadership. But what truly matters is how I use that experience to serve. I've led mentoring initiatives, created leadership development programs, and currently serve on nonprofit boards that are focused on our education and youth empowerment. At the heart of everything I do is a commitment to being data-driven with a focus on student outcomes. You're going to hear me say that a lot tonight. Not just for some, but for all students. That means advocating for our high achievers, students with special needs, those in CTE programs, the arts, athletics, and every student in between. I want to ensure that every child in Keller ISD feels appreciated, supported, challenged, and ready to thrive in whatever comes next. I'm running because what's that? You got it? All right, we're good, thank you.
Go ahead, introduce yourself.
My wife and I have lived in Keller ISD for 32 years on both sides of the tracks. I have 2 grown children that graduated from Keller ISD schools. My daughter graduated from Keller High School, and my son graduated from Central High School. I do attend school board meetings regularly, often speaking on the topic of vouchers. I am bringing 45 plus years of leadership experience to this task, 12 years military service in the Air Force and Air Force Reserves, including Desert Storm, Desert Shield, 33 years as an airline pilot and captain, and 27 years of service to the YMCA as a board member. I have been awarded the YMCA Henry Meadows Volunteer of the Year Award 5 times. I was board chairman when we built North Park YMCA. I know how to work as a team. I know how to get things done. I've been doing it my entire adult life. I am bringing a global perspective to this race because in my 42 years as an aviator, I've been on every continent on the face of the earth except Antarctica. I have seen firsthand how interconnected we are to the rest of the world, both economically and in every other sense. In order for our nation to succeed, we must educate the young men and women of our nation to compete in a world of diversity and complexity. We need to think globally.
Place 2, Jennifer Erickson, Joni Smith. Joni Smith first.
I'm Joni Shaw Smith, and for the past 3 years, I've had the incredible privilege of serving as trustee and secretary of the Keller ISD School Board. I am running for re-election because I am deeply invested in this district, not just as a trustee, but as a parent, a longtime community member, and an advocate for strong schools and student success. My husband and I moved here in 2011 to raise our 2 boys here in Keller ISD. They've attended Park Glen, Sunset Valley, and now my youngest is in 8th grade at Vista Ridge, and my oldest is a junior at Fossil Ridge High School. Since their very first day of kinder, I have been all in. I've served on all the PTA boards, been a room mom, chaperoned all the field trips, and I've been involved every step of the way. The last few years, I've started on several committees, including the SHAC committee, and I'm currently on the CTE board. I have my BS and MA from TCU, and I own a couple of businesses. I travel the world as a producer and creative director for live events and broadcasts. Managing complex projects and collaborating with diverse teams over the last 23 years, I've definitely brought creative and results-driven approach to the board. My expertise in communication and problem solving equips me to tackle pressing educational issues while fostering collaboration between the district and the community. I've always believed that strong relationships between teachers, staff, and our parents, and the ability to have a voice in that decision making are essential in ensuring that every child gets the best education possible. Serving on the board these past 3 years has not only strengthened that belief, but validated it. I've seen firsthand the dedication of our incredible educators. I've been on all of our campuses, and I've had honest conversations with our administrators about the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. I've listened, learned, and worked tirelessly to ensure that Keller ISD remains a destination of excellence.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Erickson, and I have a daughter in 5th grade in the Timber Creek feeder pattern. And so I've been involved since she first got into school there with PTAs, volunteering, the field trips too. I remember the very long one to Austin that we did last year. And I started off my career as a reporter. I spent years doing that, digging through public files, covering public meetings, asking questions, and digging for the truth. And so I think that will serve me well in this endeavor. And then I've moved into communications ever since, and now I manage large projects for a local employer and coordinate budgets, strategy, communications planning around large initiatives and communicating to our workforce. So in addition to PTA, I've also done the Community Ambassador Program through Keller ISD. I wanted to learn about school finance and Keller ISD itself. I actually started it when my daughter was in kindergarten. That was the year of COVID. So I started the program, it stopped, and then COVID happened and we all stayed home. So when it restarted a couple years later, I decided to do it again. So I actually heard the finance part twice because of doing it that way. But it was important to me to be able to see the breadth of the district and not just my daughter's school. And so did that, and I currently serve on the Student Health Advisory Council this year as well. So, and then when my daughter was in preschool, I actually was on the board of her preschool. It was a small school, but I really worked with the directors and others trying to advocate for better teacher pay and resources and really getting them what they needed in the classroom. So that is what I would bring to this role, is my passion for students. I want to advocate on behalf of all students and then also our teachers. I see how hard they work. I see how much they put into the job, and really just want to be able to support them better. You know, I think that there have been needed cuts and changes over the last few years, and there's been, some stuff that we need to evaluate. And I think that looking at the outcomes, seeing what's working, what's not, and how to improve going forward is really what I'd like to do in supporting those teachers. So that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Place 3, Ed Duncan, Chelsea Kelly.
My name is Ed Duncan. I have a BS degree from TCU in criminal justice. I worked with the Tarrant County Adult Probation Office for 27 years. Plus, I'm retired from the Air Force Reserve. The reason I'm doing this is I have over 20 years in KISD through helping 3 grandsons, and my wife are currently raising what I call bonus children. They're in the 10th, 4th, and 3rd grades. 2 of them are at North Riverside Elementary. The other one is at Fossil Ridge. I want to continue to see the best and help all the kids, all the students, to the best of their ability.
Good evening. First, I would like to thank everyone who came out tonight and for Heritage HOA for hosting us. And thank you, Bud, for being here with us as well. Special thanks to Jennifer. Thank you. My name is Chelsea Kelly. I currently am a trustee for Keller ISD Place 3 and would greatly appreciate your vote. I was born and raised in North Fort Worth and attend Keller ISD schools from kinder to high school. I have 2 children who are enrolled in the district, and we are in the central feeder pattern. My previous experience before school board is that I was highly involved in the PTA, holding almost every single position at Freedom Elementary. I also volunteered for the Keller Council of PTAs on their election committee. And currently, as a trustee, I sit on the executive board for SHAC, DEIC, and PAC. I have a professional background in retail banking management that has taught me valuable skills like leadership, financial management, and strategic planning, which are important qualities for a trustee. Running my photography business and a business in marketing and design has also helped me become resourceful, creative, and good at working with people from all different backgrounds. All of these skills are an asset to the role as a trustee. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to start with Randy this time. These questions will go to the whole panel. I'm going to try to go down the table and then come back and start with somebody different each time. This question is for the whole panel. This question is about vouchers. Some people call them education savings accounts. Would you support or oppose the current proposals in the legislature, and why? And what impact do you think vouchers would have on the district and on funding? Randy?
I am dead set against vouchers as they're proposed. I know that vouchers will pull funding from already underfunded schools. And we already have a $9 million budget deficit. So if we pull even more money out of our public schools, the budgets get even tighter. We have to make more hard decisions. More programs are going to get cut. We're going to ask more of our staff. And we're going to have to really cut down to the bone if we have vouchers. So I'm dead set against vouchers.
I am also against vouchers. I feel that for the 5+ million students that are in Texas, that the most important thing is funding our public education. This is the future of our state and of our nation, and if we do not prioritize the funding of our public education system, then we will be at an incredible detriment. And I feel that at this point in the game that all of these vouchers are just putting money into corporations' wallets and not into our budgets. We have got to ensure that our teachers are paid properly, that we have enough money to get on an even playing field every single day that we open up our schools, and that is not happening whenever vouchers are in play. So I feel like right now there is an absolute, it's very backward, the decision that this is an emergency to have vouchers. It's not an emergency. The emergency is happening right now in public ed.
Yeah, we agree on that front for sure. I think that they're looking at it all backwards. I'm against vouchers as well. I find it hard to believe that in a state that has a surplus like we do, we have not been able to increase the basic allotment since 2019. It's ridiculous, and we need to change that, and we need to elect people who will change that and not focus on vouchers. So our public schools need the help. We have aging facilities. We've got to deal with all the changes. We've seen it with the districts all around. It's not just Keller that's facing these problems. And so we need the legislature to step up and fund education.
I agree with everybody. I am against school voucher programs that is currently being debated in the legislative session for the reason I believe that they would seriously impact everyone involved in the district by cutting back on funding that should be sent to the public school districts. 100,000 vouchers would not help 5.5 million children in Texas.
So I guess we all agree, no vouchers. Okay, that's good. I too am also against vouchers, and I think what we have to understand is that our state is prioritizing vouchers right now instead of prioritizing public education. So just like Joni stated, we do have over 5.5 million public education students in the state of Texas. And just like Ed stated, they're handing out 100,000, which would only cover 1.32% of our public education students. So how that's considered an emergency, I do not understand that. But what I will tell you is that if we could get our representatives down in Austin to actually focus on either changing the ADA system, which is the average daily attendance system, to just an enrollment-based system and actually increase the basic allotment for our students, public education wouldn't be in the crisis that they're in right now. So this is my spot to advocate to Austin. Please do your job and make sure that public education is funded. Thank you.
It stinks to be last on this one. I too am against vouchers. So for everything everybody just said, but we do need more than $6,160 to operate our schools, and we shouldn't be having our funds held hostage. So I too am against school vouchers.
Okay, start with Joni on this. Was it a good or bad idea to divide into two smaller districts, and why? And what difference would it really make if students went to schools and to under two separate school districts instead of under the same school district?
Oh my goodness. I have so many things to say about this. As all of you have heard over the past few months, I definitely think that splitting the district has been a detriment to this community. It has created an absolute division that is palpable. I believe that this district is stronger together. It is proven that this district is stronger together. By splitting it up into two, you are creating just an imbalance in terms of, where the Fort Worth side could have had maybe less recapture, the Keller side would not have had enough students and funding to even open the doors of KCAL. And so whenever you pride yourself on a district that has the programs and pathways that are truly what bring people to this district, and you want to separate that and make it to where a portion of those kids may not even have that unless they open up a facility to other districts, then we're just creating this. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing to think of, a really horrible concept. And it has been just devastating to see how it has affected our students. It's created incredible chaos on our campuses. We have so many teachers that are afraid of the instability and are leaving. And we have families that are wanting to move out of this district because of the instability and the chaos. And that is something that should have never happened. The leadership decisions in this that were involved in this never took into account what this community needed and what they wanted. And so I don't even know what the question was. No, I think it was wrong.
Yes, I agree on that as well. So I was against the split based off the limited information we had. I felt like we never fully got enough information to even begin to make a decision, but based off what we were seeing, it didn't make sense. We've been out knocking on doors. We've gone to 7,000 houses, and I could tell you like a handful of them have wanted that, maybe, if that. So it has deeply divided this community, and we're feeling it when we're out there talking to people and having the conversations, and they're concerned about what the future holds. You know, I know a student who had just signed up for KCAL and was worried about what was going on there. So she had months of stress about whether or not her 8th grade plans and 9th grade plans were going to work out. That's just not a good decision for our students. We need to be more open. We need to be more transparent. I think that we need to look at all the solutions. I do think that, you know, when Dr. Wilson spoke at the last board meeting, he presented some different options that they're looking into, and I think that that's definitely a positive. We need to be doing that. We need to engage the community more. This is not something that 4 people should decide in a back room somewhere. This is something that our whole community should be involved with, and we need to have those conversations, and we need to have open dialogue and actually work through the problems and prioritize as a community what we need, not just jump to a conclusion that might work for a few but not for the others. It was particularly concerning for the special education and bilingual students on this side as well. I think that wasn't really taken into account. So it just really, I think it's going to take us a long time to come back from this. I think that there's a interest to reunite as a community for the most part, but there's a deep lack of trust. And that's going to be hard to overcome. So that will be something that this board will have to do going forward, and finding a way to work together and to make progress on behalf of the district so that we can solve the financial problems and get a better path forward.
I agree with what everybody has said so far. My position on the potential division was that it should not have been happening to begin with, due to the fact that it has been a very divisive and expensive, and it will be an expensive situation. It's causing chaos and keeping the teachers, the students, and the community as a whole guessing as to what's going to happen and how it's going to impact everyone.
Bud, do you mind saying the question one more time for me?
Yes, was it a good or bad idea to divide into 2 smaller districts, and why? And what difference would it really make if the same students went to the same schools and they were just in 2 different school districts?
When it comes to the splits, I think what you have to understand is that you have many, many, many people in this area that are like myself, who were born and raised here. You also have many, many people who transferred here because of a job, and their dream home was on the west side. So when you're dealing with people's, with their home values, when you're messing with their children's education, was the split a good idea? Absolutely not, especially the way it was gone about. If a split was something that we were actually serious about, and we came to the community right as we thought it, and we said, hey, this is something that we're going to look into. All of you guys kind of mull it over. If you have any questions, if you have concerns, let's come to the table, let's talk about it, and let's see if there's something that we even want to do. That was we were never given that opportunity. Instead, Joni and I were sitting in an executive session with our jaws on the floor, trying to figure out, what do we do next? How do we stand up and fight for our stakeholders? And that's exactly what we did. And thank God we were there to do that, because we raised our voices very loud to make sure that this was put to an end. And thank goodness that it was. What difference does it make on if we have 2 different districts? It makes a whole heck of a lot of difference, because this district together is we are united as one. And so to now all of a sudden tell somebody, oh, never mind, you're rezoned over here, you don't get to go over to this side anymore. I mean, it's a slap in the face to people that chose to build their homes here, to educate their children here, and to live here. And it was just a bad decision. And thank goodness it's over.
Yeah, so I'm against the split. I didn't see over the last couple months enough data to support it and say that it was a viable option. There's many other options we could have explored before even bringing that up for discussion. A decision of that size needs to involve the community early, and I feel like we were brought in a little late to that discussion. And so, you know, if I were to be joining the board, it's going to take frequent transparent communication to the community to even think about something of that nature.
To answer your question, but it wasn't just a bad idea, it was a terrible idea. Because I believe that diversity is important. If we had single-member voting districts, this wouldn't have been an issue, because the people on this side would never have voted to even put that on the agenda. So we need to have single-member voting districts for that reason alone. We can never do this again. I served on a citizen bond advisory committee in the mid-90s at a time when Keller was on the cusp of a huge growth spurt, 400% projected demographic growth spurt. We built schools, that bond passed, we built schools in advance of the development. It was a real testament to the love and vision of the people of Keller at that time. I moved here in 1992 for the schools. I've seen Keller ISD grow from 1 high school to 4 high schools. So that decision to me is one of the head and the heart. I think this is a wonderful school district. I always tell people the true legacy of Keller is not a water tower or a mascot. The true legacy of Keller is Keller ISD. It was a gift of love and vision from the people of Keller to future generations.
New question, Jennifer. Starting with Jennifer, money's tight. How should the board handle the aging buildings, declining enrollment, and the new competition for students if vouchers pass?
Yeah, so money is definitely tight. I think the first thing that we need to do is have a board that is open and honest with the community and doesn't rely on parents doing public information requests to find out information to bring to light what is going on, which is how it happened in January. And that's how we knew. And we dug. There were a group of parents who did that. And we need the board to do that. We need the board to stand up. We need the board to talk to the community and engage the community and not just be a tight group that is not engaging with the community. There are no easy decisions ahead right now for Keller ISD. There aren't for most school districts, but not for Keller. We have to figure out the finances. We've got changing demographics. We've seen the data about the elementary schools and others where it's lower enrollments. We're going to have to figure out the patterns and what's going to happen, how we change things, how we deal with these aging facilities, how we deal with not getting money from the state. That requires transparency. That requires accountability. And if this community can be engaged, I think we can rise up together and come up with solutions. And we can prioritize what we want as a community, what we need as a community, what our students need, what our teachers need. And then make some decisions about the hard choices we've got to make, because there's no way around the hard choices. We've done the easy stuff. We did that multiple years ago. It got hard last year. It's going to get harder this year with the $9 million. And honestly, I think it should be $12.4 million because I think our teachers need a raise. They haven't gotten one. They didn't get step increases. We need to support our teachers financially, emotionally, everything. We need to give them more respect and get them what they need to do their jobs to help our kids. So I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about this district. Like I said, I have a 5th grader. I want to see this succeed. I want to see them all do well and have the support. I don't want kids in 100-degree classrooms in the August and having to hear about teachers going and doing things like that. We need to fix our problems, focus on the finances, not the culture.
One strategy that I think was that we need to address the idea that teachers need a significant increase in salary and decrease the number of tests they have to administer that keeps them really from focusing and teaching the subject matter that's intended. They don't have enough time to teach all that's expected of them. And I think if they had the time, they would be maintaining, help the declining enrollment of children in KISD, and it would maintain high quality education opportunities for them.
So I want to start at the end of that question. Our teachers want to feel heard and appreciated. They want to have a seat at the table and feel like their input is valuable. But they also need a raise. Enrollment is down across the state, that is a fact. With declining birth rates and the abundance of schools to choose from, public education is taking a financial hit. Here's what we can do. We can advocate in Austin that they raise the basic allotment. We can also advocate for the antiquated ADA funded system to be changed to an enrollment-based funded system like I discussed earlier. We can go line by line in our budget and cut the wasteful spending by the district and the board. Lastly, we need to look at our existing bonds that are outstanding that have some margin. If the language allows and we do have the margin, we could potentially move some capital expenditures from M&O to the INS side. For example, HVAC replacement or upgrades. If all of these changes were to happen, we could see increases from $10 to $20 million in our budget. This would give us the ability to give our teachers the raises they desperately need and deserve, prioritize and budget the urgent maintenance to our aging facilities, foster our program to be more robust, and draw more families to Keller ISD. Thank you.
Can I start over?
Start where you want.
Let me start over. When prioritizing these competing interests, we always have to put the students first, and that means maintaining academic quality. We'll have to close and consolidate some campuses that are underutilized, find more efficiencies in staffing and programs, perhaps sell properties now that we are entering a phase of declining enrollment, and look outward to best practices in successful school districts, a good example being Louisville ISD. Making academic quality a priority actually dovetails into retaining teachers, and let me explain why. Retaining teachers must begin with showing them respect, of course, and of course we want to give all teachers a pay raise. But we must provide them the stability of a financially solvent employer, and that means bringing our financial integrity rating up from a 70, which is in the bottom 7% of the state. That's barely passing. There are no easy choices left with a projected budget deficit of $9 million, but I've talked to Corey Wilson, as Scott has, and he and John Allison have a plan to to increase the operating fund to about $70 million, which improves our financial rating, which it gives us the ability to issue debt if we need to do that, and that in turn it maintains quality facilities. We can do this. There is a path forward. We don't need to split the district to do any of this.
Okay, all right. So I was stating that after meeting Dr. Wilson and learning that a comprehensive facility analysis has already been completed, I believe we now have a solid roadmap to begin addressing our aging infrastructure. That's an important first step, but it's just the beginning. The next step is using that data responsibly and strategically. I support leveraging that analysis to prioritize repairs and upgrades based on both urgency and equity, ensuring that every student, regardless of the campus they attend, has a safe, functional, and modern learning environment. Research shows that the quality of school facilities directly impacts student achievement. According to the National Center of Education Statistics, students in a well-maintained school perform better on standardized tests, have fewer behavioral incidents, and attend school more regularly, all of which Keller ISD could benefit from. Simply put, when students feel safe and supported in their physical environment, they're more likely to thrive academically and emotionally. In terms of declining enrollment, Keller ISD is not alone. Many districts are facing this across the state, and that's due to the challenges in demographic shifts and increased competition from charter and private schools. But that doesn't mean we stand still. We need to respond strategically and creatively, and that includes evaluating how we market our schools, communicating the value of Keller ISD to prospective families, and investing in programs that make our district more attractive, like CTE pathways, fine arts, STEM, and early college initiatives. It's also critical that we ensure families see Keller ISD as a place where excellent teachers want to stay. Teacher turnover not only costs districts financially, which estimates show it's up to $20,000 per teacher, but it also disrupts continuity in learning, especially for our most vulnerable students. Retaining quality educators isn't just about pay, it's about creating a culture where teachers feel respected, supported, and heard. We need to invest in leadership development, ongoing training, and recognition programs that reinforce the value of our educators.
Let's loop Joni in, and then we'll start over.
Okay, our aging facilities need serious attention. We can't keep creating what I call Franken campuses, patching new parts onto outdated structures. That Band-Aid approach only drains our limited general fund and puts us into a deeper financial hole long term. We need to have real conversations about funding and press hard on our legislators to fix the broken system, especially around the underfunded mandates and daily allotment-based funding that doesn't account for inflation or actual student needs. Declining enrollment isn't a surprise. Over a decade ago, Dr. Reed, the former superintendent, actually discussed how Keller ISD at that point was almost built out. And that, combined with COVID, school choice, high interest rates, skyrocketing home prices, local zoning restrictions, and fewer families having children, has made growth in Keller even harder to come by. But we can make Keller ISD a destination district again. We've already introduced creative and low-cost academic strategies, created stronger curriculum, and we need to build on that and better promote what we already do so well, like KCAL, KCA, STEAM programs, and the incredible educators that we have. And we must keep pursuing grants and partnerships that bring in resources without raising the burden on our taxpayers. As for retaining teachers, that is very personal to me. Even before joining the board, I've fought to recruit, reward, and retain our educators by listening to them, fighting for them, and pushing for competitive salaries. And now we need to eliminate the current chaos that and rebuild the trust and stability after 3 years of revolving door superintendents, and that starts with transparency, respect, and smart decisions. With smart financial planning, community partnership, and renewed focus on excellence, we can ensure Keller ISD remains a place where students thrive and educators want to stay. Keller ISD has so much potential. We just have to protect it, fund it, and fight for it.
Okay. Ed, it's a related question. We'll go around again. This district may need a bond issue. Some people are throwing around numbers like $500 million in order to fix and update all the dilapidated buildings. Would you be for or against a bond election? And without a bond election, how do you think the board should address these facility needs?
Good question. I'm all for a bond election if it's if the community is fully informed as to what the bond election is going to cover. I have looked at this. We just need to let the public know that it's necessary in order to maintain facility needs. And this is something I need to look in to make sure that it goes into the areas that are needing upgrades or maintenance.
Well, from knocking on doors, the word bond comes off as a swear word these days, unfortunately. But if we look back at 2019 and we see what our bond dollars were used for, I think a lot of us were very disappointed, even though we have these beautiful erected indoor practice facilities. We should have used those funds towards our aging campuses and doing the necessary repairs that we need. So the scary thing is that we are looking at, I think Scott alluded to this earlier, but if we're looking at the MEP report, I think we've identified already over $700 million in repairs that we need on our campuses. Are all of those urgent? No. Would we need to prioritize the urgency? Absolutely. But I'm pretty certain that a bond is going to have to be on the table here soon. And whether I want a bond to go through or not, it's not up to me, it's up to our community. I know sitting here what financials we do need. I know sitting here, I know our financial situation that this school district is in. Do I think a bond will help it? Absolutely. Does our community want to hear that word? I don't think so right now. So as we get to the bond discussion, as we have our committees and we're looking at what those dollars are supposed to go towards, it's going to be up to this community whether or not they feel that it is necessary.
So I would support a bond if that's what the data shows that's necessary. And so you've heard me talk a lot about being data driven and making decisions based off of that. And so while Dr. Wilson said that a facility analysis has been completed, that hasn't been shared with us in the community yet or anybody in the public. So I'd like to see that, see what the data shows. I know Chelsea said $700 million, that's a lot of money. And so it sounds like it is inevitable, but again, we need to bring the community in early to that conversation, be very transparent in communication and frequently communicate with them. And it's not just through a school board meeting, but potential town halls and other methods. So again, if the data proves that that's necessary, I would support it.
I would also support the bond issue. Every school district must periodically issue debt. The typical period on that is about every 4 to 6 years. And that's a must to maintain the facilities. That's typically 4 to 6 years. Our bond capacity is somewhere approximately $500 million to $800 million, so this is completely doable. The actual number will be determined by a third-party financial analyst at the time, but we have the capacity to do this, so we're going to have to do this. If we communicate properly, if we have a Citizens Bond Advisory Committee, it will be a hard sell, but we have to do that. Nobody wants to live in a school district where the schools are falling apart. So it is a must, and we're going to have to bite the bullet and do it.
I too agree with Chelsea and everyone up here so far. The bond is a 4-letter word to some people, but sometimes it's a necessity that is an evil necessity that we have to keep our doors open, to ensure that our kids are in environments that are not uncomfortable. We obviously every single summer we have issues with our air conditioning units failing. We have in the wintertime, we have windows that may be having problems with keeping the heat in. So, it's an ongoing issue, and it's something that we cannot avoid. But if it is something that is necessary, it is something that has to be done in a way that is incredibly transparent so that everyone knows where every dollar goes, that we have the input from the community and from the district to ensure that every single campus is getting what they need and that it is a priority. We do have, an audit of all of our facilities and what is an urgent and what is something that's a 30-year out. I feel that it's going to be a hard sell just because I believe that the city of Fort Worth is wanting to also pass, I think it's a $300 million bond. So you add that to a school bond, it's going to probably turn some people away from voting on it. But it is something that I know whenever my husband and I first moved here, we looked at the tax rate as the tuition. Do we send our kids to private school, or do we go to Keller ISD and get this great education, but our property taxes and the taxes are our tuition for our kids? And that's what we need to look at this, is that if a bond has to be passed, it's for our kids, it's for our teachers. Out of time.
So I definitely agree that we are fully down the path, I think, with the district in doing the prep work for going towards a bond. And there's no question we need the money to fix our facilities. However, in the last 3 years, this board has taken us down such a path where the community does not trust what is going on. I don't see how we can pass it right now. So first up, we're going to have to rebuild trust. We're going to have to respect our community and listen to them and engage them beyond a small group of people. And then we're going to have to talk it up. We're going to have to explain the reasons. We're going to have to look at it. It's going to have to be balanced with what taxpayer needs are. Everyone's struggling. You can't turn on the TV without hearing about the price of eggs and people talking about the cost and other stuff like that. So it's a balance between what our community can afford and what we can do, and what our schools need and our facilities need and our teachers need, and how we need to free up the finances. But first up, we're going to have to get in a better place, because I don't see anyone voting for a bond based off of the information that they don't trust at this point. So we got to get the trust back first, and then we can look at the next phase of it.
Okay, starting with Chelsea. Chelsea, what is the single most important step Keller can take to draw more experienced teachers and administrators?
Pay them well. Well, I mean, that's a double-sided question because of the financial situation we're in right now. We're having a hard time fulfilling our promise to our teachers that we would give them their step increases and their pay increases. I was talking to a teacher the other day, and she's been with our district for 25 years. And I think her pay is only about $10,000 more than a new teacher coming on this next year. And she says, how does that happen? That's a great question. Financially, we need to prioritize our teachers, their base salaries, their increases, their step increases. And along with teachers, we need to prioritize their feelings. We need to show them appreciation. We need to make sure that they feel heard. We need to make sure that they know they have a seat at the table and they are valued. So I think that is the one step that we can take, most important step.
Yeah, compensation's huge, but also respect, automating some of the administrative tasks that they have. But we really need to brag about what Keller ISD is known for and what we want to be, accelerating our programs and really touting why Keller ISD. And so compensation's huge. As we're looking at optimizing our facilities, we really need to be aggressive so that we can give teachers the pay raise they deserve. And I know there's a call to action circulating, I think today online, for us to contact our state representatives all about teacher compensation, so I encourage everybody to participate in that. But again, I really feel like as we're looking at cutting costs and reorganizing some of our financials, we need to take teachers into account, because that's putting students first. Without teachers, we don't have students, we don't have facilities, and so we got to be super aggressive as we look at our teachers moving forward.
The word that first comes to mind here is respect. I'll piggyback on what Scott said. This comes from a very high level former Keller ISD administrator. The first thing that has to happen is we have to show the teachers respect, not micromanage them. They know how to do their job. They're professionals. Let's let them do their job without micromanaging them. Teachers don't go into the profession for money. The respect is the first thing that they need.
Can you repeat the question?
What's the single most important step Keller can take to draw more experienced teachers and administrators?
I think the single most important thing that we can do right now is provide some stability. We have got to end the chaos. We have got to end the uncertainty. We have got to just provide a leadership team, and that includes, you know, like I said before, this revolving superintendent wheel that we're on is just a detriment to this district. Without that stability, we are never going to be able to hold on to the fantastic teachers that we have, and we're definitely not going to be able to recruit new teachers to want to come here. I mean, obviously, pay raises are something that I know over the last 3 years and more have been something that we've absolutely been trying to do, and it is difficult in the type of financial environment that we're in. And so, like Scott said, this call to action to our state, I know I signed the petition today, so I hope everybody else does as well, because we have got to be able to create an environment that people, and our teachers especially, feel loved, feel supported, and feel heard, and are valued. And that is definitely through programs that help support them. And I know policies have been passed over the last 3 years where we've tried to instill some empowerment for our teachers, allowing them to feel safer, and with our armed security and cell phone policies and things like that. So, you know, at the moment, it's just we have to create stability.
There's so much we need to do to help our teachers, but and recruiting, I think the top one, though, is support, and that is at every level. It's the support from the leadership, it's the support from the board, it's stability and knowledge base of the superintendent and their cabinet. It is the local administrators, and it's the parents. You know, I have a friend who is going to be stepping down soon, and the story she tells of the parents is interesting. So I think the more that we can do to help just have our teachers feel like we've got their backs, and we will support them with policies, we will support them with resources, we will support them with pay, and just give them that sense that we're in this with them. They're not out there alone in the classroom by themselves trying to do all the work. There's a team behind them, and we adequately support them and fund them to do that. So that's what I would say would be the top thing. Obviously, pay is always a good thing. We want to do that. And the other thing, you know, we're hearing a lot about closing the daycare center, and that concerns me because we already are having trouble with teachers and every tension and with everything with the split and all the uncertainty this year, and then we close the daycare center on top of it. I'm sure that there are various considerations going into it, but it seems like we need to look a little more longer term and see if there's some other option for that so that our teachers can choose to stay, especially when the insurance increases and their premiums have gone up so much. That makes it very hard to take home a meaningful paycheck if you're also not getting increases, plus you're getting increases in your insurance rate. You just have less dollars to take home. So,
I think one reason or one thing that can help retain our teachers is that the board is transparent in everything that goes on that will affect the teacher and or the community or their families. I agree with everything that's been said so far. We do need to be upfront with our teachers, let them know what is going on within the school district. Plus, as I said earlier, they need to have to decrease the number of tests that they administer and be able to teach the subjects that they were intended to do so.
Chelsea, I'm going to start with you again. If you all will imagine a giant arrow like at a basketball game that turns the other direction. Now we're going to start at that end of the table and come this way on all the questions so that the opposite candidate always gets the last word. So we'll start with Chelsea again on this question. We hear a lot about the literacy challenge. What literacy challenges are you finding in Keller, and how would you address them?
When we're looking at Keller ISD, we have to understand that not every single feeder pattern is different. Not every single feeder pattern is the same. Not every campus is the same. Diversity looks different on each different campus, and we are fortunate enough to have educators that understand those diversities and those needs on all of our different campuses. Literacy challenges that we're finding are in certain areas that our children are testing lower on reading and things of that nature. And I think what we can do at that point is identify those campuses and help with those teachers, give them extra resources, and help on those campuses to ensure that they're meeting our expectations.
Now we go to Ed and come back this way.
This is an area that I have not looked into, so I can't give you any definite answer as to how we go about addressing this particular issue.
This is something that's been looked at a lot, particularly since COVID and so many students slip backwards. And I think this is an area that we just need to keep working towards. I agree that it needs to be done on the campus level with support from the district and looking across at best practices and how we can implement them across, and then just really focusing on the fundamentals of reading and encouraging kids to read more, get books in their hands, get books in our libraries. You know, we've only bought books one time this year in Keller ISD. It was about 600 titles on the list I was scrolling through today. It was very low numbers of books. So getting more titles in their hands will encourage kids to read and have more variety to look at, and teachers can then, engage them that way. So I think that it's just a matter of really looking at what is working and looking outside our district as well. This is not a unique challenge to Keller, and so it's really looking at what Fort Worth is doing and others and see if we can use some best practices and efficiencies that way.
So thankfully for Keller ISD, I know that some of the data over the top 10 districts or top 12 districts in DFW, that Keller all 4 feeder patterns actually rank in the top 12. So that is a good thing that we're not seeing near as much literacy deficiency as other districts. I know that over the last year, I believe, we created, or we didn't create, but we had our educators bring phonics systems back into our curriculum. And that has truly been showing an increase in our data that our kids are starting to read better. And obviously the STEAM programs that we've also implemented have also helped to create a fun learning environment that help with both the math and the reading and the arts and science.
I don't have any hard data on the literacy challenges in Keller ISD, and I'll tell you that up front. I assume that there's a vast differential between the school feeder patterns, east and west. And the question becomes, how do we funnel resources to the greatest need? And as a trustee, I work with the Keller ISD administrators to implement a plan to move the resources we need to overcome those literacy challenges in the places where they're occurring.
Yes, I too don't have any data in front of me to share, but what I would love to do is to dig into the data and figure out where we need to redeploy resources to make sure certain feeder patterns are covered as it relates to literacy. And so as we're evaluating our staffing needs, let's look at the test scores or the literacy scores and figure out what feeder patterns we need to add some extra attention to make sure those scores get up.
We're starting with Ed this time. Ed, how will you work as a trustee to make sure that all students have equal access to resources and support for their different needs?
Good question. I think working with the boards, that again, if we're upfront and transparent, so everybody knows what is going on. This particular area I haven't really looked into a lot, so I don't have any data for
that. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
How will you work as a trustee to make sure that all students have equal access to resources and the support for their different needs?
That's a very good question. I know that from experience with friends, it can be challenging to get the needs met depending on each student. I particularly have one that loves school and has had a relatively easy path, so I haven't experienced it as much myself. But what I would like to see is that we are keeping our special education teachers, we are keeping our specialists and others who are supporting different needs, and really looking at it across the district at what is working and what we can spread to other locations to make sure that all kids are getting the same experience in Keller ISD.
So I know whenever I first came on board, one of the first things I did, I've tried to take, tours of every single campus. And one of the things that I noticed was there was a lot of inconsistency on not only what was being taught, but how it was being taught. And programs, things like that, one campus over here had STEAM and these campuses over here did not. And so I know that one of the biggest priorities that I had was how can we get consistency across our district, because it was definitely obvious that as you went from feeder to feeder, it was almost like they were their own entirely district on their own. So one of the things that we were able to do, we restructured the feeder patterns, so that way instead of having an area superintendent over Keller, Central, Timber, and Fossil, we went across the board. So now we have an assistant superintendent that's across all the elementary schools. We have an assistant superintendent that's over all high schools and middle schools. And that has definitely shown some improvement in consistency. And another thing that we did was also ensure that there's consistency with curriculum, because some campuses were teaching their own curriculum while other campuses were maybe teaching a state provided curriculum. And so that is something that we made sure, let's go across the board, because we wanted to make sure that if you came from Fossil and you went to Keller, that you could start right back up and not miss a beat. So I'm really proud of the work that I know that I've helped do on the board over the last 3 years, and I know that there's still so much more to be done, especially when it comes to our special needs programs, ensuring that each one of our feeder patterns has really strong special needs.
I would begin by relying on the professional expertise of the Keller ISD administration in this area, asking a lot of questions. As a trustee, I want to be vigilant to make sure that our Title I funding is going where it needs to be going, that the students in our 504 program are getting their needs met, and I want to know how we're tracking these students. I also want to know how our minority students are doing, what are the metrics that we're using to measure their performance, and I want to look at those reports. I'm going to be vigilant, I'm going to ask the reports, and I'm going to follow up to make sure that we are taking care of those students.
So there's a couple of things I think we could do to make sure we're meeting the needs of the students. First is to survey our parents and our teachers and use that data to fill in the gaps and figure out where we're being deficient. The second thing, and I mentioned it throughout tonight, is table talks. So as trustees, we get a chance to go visit schools that we're assigned to, but obviously we can go into any school. But I'd like to sit down with administrators and with teachers and hear from them face to face and have some open two-way dialogue. And quite honestly, this is more reactionary. I think we need to be proactive, so we're not having a conversation in a year as to what we need to do to meet the needs of our students. If we're proactive, we always can make sure we're meeting the needs always.
Chelsea.
So I feel like as a trustee, I am actually assigned campuses. So I can go onto these campuses. I can be invited to some of the events on the campuses. I can see how this campus operates. And I have that opportunity to see that over 5 different campuses because I'm assigned to 5. As a trustee, I should be able to talk to another trustee and say, hey, this is how our campus is doing something. Is your campus doing the same thing? And that's the beauty of all of us having our own campuses that are assigned to us. We can come back to the table and say, hey, this is what we found out. Is this what's happening on your campus? I think we also need to hear from the parents, whether that be at events that we're invited to. I would love, so just so you know, if you ever see me come to your campus, please come up to me and let me know if there's any inconsistencies that you're seeing, or if your children's needs are not being met or something like that. But that's what we're there for. I think the board has done a good job at trying to create consistency, but there's more to do. If I can just give you a quick example, my daughter is in 5th grade, and I don't know how many 5th grade pods there are at her school, but only 2 of them do market day and the others don't. I don't understand that. Also, a prime example is last night we were at some football games, and you can just see the difference between some of the kids that were playing, some of the high schoolers that were supposed to be teaching the kids. Some of them were there, they were active, they were hyping their kids up. Other kids didn't even have any of their high school coaches there. So I mean, there are inconsistencies still, and I think we can do a better job at that. And I think it's just staying in communication with each other, like, hey, what's going on your campus? What do you see that needs to change? When it comes to making sure that we have support for kids who maybe have special needs, we need to be able to identify those students earlier and make sure that their needs are being met. I think if we're doing that, we're able to budget for that, plan for that, and make sure that the children have the resources that they need.
Thank you all. Jennifer, name a decision the board's made the last couple of years that you really liked, that worked out well for the community. And then what was a decision that you would have handled differently?
Balancing the budget has definitely been a great advance and something that was needed and something that we continue to need to do and will need to do going forward. I didn't always agree with every decision that was in there, but that's how it is with every parent. You know, you have your things you're interested in and things you are sad to see, like when the theater teachers split time on elementary campuses. It still makes me sad to think they're not getting full time with that, and that some of the plays and things like that are gone. So that was one that I think is good. Trying to think how to say this. I think that there's been a trend where decisions are coming out and not all of the questions are answered before decisions are there. And I think that there could be a smoother process for the board in terms of how they're rolling things out, and administration. It's not all the board, it's also admin. You know, an example of that was the cell phone policy last year. I think that overall people have come around to it, and it seems like it's working as best I can tell. I've got a 5th grader who doesn't have a cell phone, so I don't personally experience it. But, you know, there was lots of fear and worry and questions that were not answered when it was first rolled out. And so I think if we could back up things a bit and do a better job of the communications strategy and the just thinking through the different perspectives so that we can pinpoint the holes and pinpoint the problem areas ahead of time and engage the community so that we could talk through that. It's similar to, you know, the budget and the other things. It's just really looking for those different perspectives and finding how it's going to impact people and then addressing that. And then that way we could have smoother processes and less friction within the district.
Okay. I love all the things we've done. Wow, that's a difficult question since I have been on the board for the last 3 years, and we've really implemented quite a bit of not only policy, but strengthened our curriculum. We've strengthened our safety on campuses. But I think probably just so that I can answer Ms. Erickson's question, I think one of the coolest things has been the cell phone policy. I know it actually was a teacher-led policy. The teachers were wanting to get control over their classrooms. It was not a board policy. And so when the district came to us and said, hey, our teachers really would love to get the cell phones out of the classroom. They want to take control of their classes once again and not be interrupted. They're losing so much education time. And so we were like, absolutely, we're behind you, and we're going to support you, not only support you, but support you with policy, so that this is something that will continue from year to year. And so it's been really fantastic to hear the feedback from the teachers that, yes, they are getting that control back, the kids are more engaged, and not only that, they're actually talking to one another, they're socializing, they're asking to bring board games to the cafeteria. I know that at Timberview, you know, they like run to the board games to see who can get what when they go to lunch at the table. So that is definitely something that I'm very proud of. Do I only have 5 seconds, or do I have 30? Okay. And then I guess the decision that I would have to end with of what I don't appreciate and I don't like is some of the fellow board members wanting to split this fantastic district.
I'm going to agree with Joni on this. I think the cell phone policy was a really good decision. I think that was poorly communicated in its implementation, but I think it was really important to do that, and it was long overdue. The kids need to learn interpersonal skills, some face-to-face communications. They're not getting that when they're looking at a screen. So I think it was an excellent decision, and I fully support that. And I think the split, obviously, the proposed attachment was one of the worst decisions that they ever tried to implement.
Again, it pays to go last. I'm going to concur with Randy on, oh, you go last, sorry, all right, sorry. I concur with Randy. You know, cell phone policy, I was truly supportive of it because the kids need to pay more attention. We have a hard enough time at home with them staring at their phones and texting and Snapchat and all the other applications that they use, and so I was appreciative that it was now a policy in the schools to put those away and pay attention. Again, to concur with Randy, the split was a decision that I did not agree with, just in how it was started and how we were brought in late to the discussion. Chelsea.
I feel like everybody stole my answers. So I was going to say cell phone policy, but another one that I really think was an amazing decision was security. I think it having security on our campuses, it allows our teachers to feel safe while they are teaching our wonderful assets here in the district. Our babies are precious, and to have somebody who is on campus and ready to go if they see anything crazy going on, I'm all for that. So I think that was great. So obviously a decision that I don't like is how the split topic was brought up. The decision to bring the community into the conversation later than we should have been. And then also I'm gonna add, I don't like how the split conversation ended. I think it was just here's an email, we're done with it, and we're gonna move on. And so I don't know about you, but I would have loved another conversation about it or another explanation or something. So I had to add that in there, I'm sorry.
You actually stole part of my deal here. I was going to talk about one of the things that the board has done is increase the security and arm the individuals that are working in the different schools. Plus, they have police officers also there for the security and so everybody does feel safe. The one thing that I had an issue with, not too long ago, there were a certain number of books removed from the libraries through conversation with different individuals. My process is I would have let the books remain and the parents make the decision as to whether the students would be able to access them.
Now let's see, I think we're at Joni, and we're going to have some quick, before we get to our last couple of questions, we're going to have some little lightning round questions. So these are just yes or no, starting with Joni. Do you support changing to electing the board by single member districts?
No.
Up and down, yes or no?
Yes, I do support single member districts.
No, I do not support single member districts.
No, I do not.
I do not oppose single district members. In fact, I was wondering quite a while back why this hasn't occurred before now. We're just now discussing it.
I support it.
Next, and start with Joni again. I'm starting with you on all three of these. Do you support bringing back runoff elections so that a majority of voters are required to elect trustees?
No.
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 Could you repeat the question again? I'm
Do you
sorry.
support bringing back runoff elections so a majority of voters are required to elect trustees?
No.
No.
And do you believe the president of the board should be reelected?
No.
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 Absolutely not.
No.
No.
Okay, Randy, tell us about your support from any political action committees. Have you accepted any donations or in-kind support from PACs? How can the voters be sure you're independent?
My campaign is financed completely by individual donations. You can look at my 30-day finance report. It's online, and you'll see 26 pages of individual donors. I have no direct or indirect PAC support.
My campaign is self-funded along with small donations from a few. You want a long answer, or can I get my full 2 minutes on this?
Oh, well, this is a long answer. This is a full answer.
Okay, good. We're gonna need it. So my campaign is self-funded along with small donations from a few close supporters, friends, neighbors, and community members who know me personally and believe in my student-first leadership approach. From the very beginning, I made the intentional decision to personally fund the majority of my campaign because I understand the growing concerns in our community about the influence of political action committees in local school board elections. This wasn't just a strategic choice, it was a reflection of my values. I believe local leadership should be rooted in trust, transparency, and accountability, and that starts with how we fund our campaigns. In a time when many voters are asking who's really behind the scenes, I want people to know exactly where I stand and who I represent. While I've received endorsements from different organizations, I want to be clear, none of these organizations have contributed to me financially to my campaign, and I have not accepted money from any PACs. I chose this path because I believe our community deserves leaders who are fully committed to the people we serve. When I make decisions, they will be guided by data, community input, and what's best for our students, nothing else. My campaign is grounded in independence, integrity, and a deep sense of responsibility to this district. I'm here to serve Keller ISD with honesty and purpose, and that means putting students first in every decision and leading in a way that reflects the values of our community, consistently, transparently, and with a heart of service.
My campaign is funded entirely by my friends, my family, and this community. I haven't received any financial support from PACs, committees, or political groups, and I don't plan to. My focus is on representing the community without outside financial support. I do have endorsements from the community, but I am not receiving any funds from these endorsements. I'm running this campaign on my own with the support from my family, friends, and community, and without a campaign strategist.
I have not received any contributions or support from any source other than myself. And I did this because I did not want to be under any influence from any decision maker, a PAC or otherwise, if I'm elected to the board.
My campaign is funded by individual donations. I've made countless calls across this community and have over, I don't have the total count, over 150 people have donated to my campaign. The average amount is under $100 that I have received. I've gotten $5, $6, depends. I do have one local PAC that's a small group that has donated to my campaign that helps candidates running, and so that is the one I've gotten. I believe that we need to, I lost my train of thought. important to me to talk to individuals across the community. That's been a rewarding actually to be making these calls and talking and hearing what people's issues are. And the way that the school board races have gone, we needed the funding. So I am a single mom and a divorced mom, and I'm just funding the campaign. So that's how it is. And individual donors are the main thrust of my campaign.
Like Chelsea and Scott and others up here, I definitely take pride in the fact that my campaign is supported solely by friends, families, and neighbors who believe in me and my vision. They trust in my courage and the strength to stand up and advocate for this, for this district. I have not taken or accepted donations from political action committees because I firmly believe in maintaining full transparency in this election. I have received endorsements from respected community members and organizations, and while I appreciate their support, I want to be clear. My decisions will always prioritize what is best for the students and our district, free from any external influences.
Some of you answered this in that question, but take us home with this. Tell us why you think you are the best candidate and why this divided Greater Keller community can trust you.
I get 4 minutes, Randy said, so.
Ask Shelby first.
Okay. Imagine a school district where more than 32,000 students are thriving, supported by teachers who feel valued, parents who feel heard, and a community that is united and working together. Picture schools where classrooms are well equipped, communication is transparent, and students are not only achieving academically, but are also developing the character, confidence, and life skills they need to succeed in the world beyond graduation. Imagine a Keller ISD where teachers want to stay and grow, where families choose our schools not because they have to, but because they know their children will be challenged, supported, and inspired. Imagine a board that functions with the professionalism and purpose, where tough decisions are met with thoughtful discussion and not division, and where the only agenda is what's best for our students. Everything I've shared tonight comes down to this. I want to serve Keller ISD with a student-first mindset, a data-driven approach, and a heart for every child in our district. As a parent, educator, and business leader, I bring personal investment, professional experience, and a deep desire to lead with integrity. Just as importantly, I bring a fresh perspective, rooted in real-world leadership, community involvement, and a clear vision for our schools. For more than a decade, I've shown up for Keller ISD, not just with words, but with action. I've been involved in mentoring programs, booster clubs, parent-led initiatives. I've met with nearly every current school board member to understand their perspective. I believe in listening, in building relationships, and in leading with purpose. I will put in the time, ask the hard questions, and always focus on what matters most, and that's our students. I'm ready to serve, and I'd be honored to earn your trust and your vote.
Sorry. Okay, so again, my name is Chelsea Kelly, and I would appreciate your vote. The start of my tenure as a trustee for Keller ISD has not been easy, but I rose to the challenge. I took this position seriously and stood up for the stakeholders of this district, and I would do it again. Like I stated earlier, my roots run deep in this community, and I will do everything I possibly can to ensure the success of this district. Our students are counting on us to put the drama aside and stand in unity as we drive this district into the future where we are financially responsible and exceeding our student outcome expectations. Ultimately, we volunteer for this trustee position for our students. Our goal is to set them up for success no matter what endeavors they try to pursue. Our district is great, but we can make it better together. Our students are succeeding, but we can help more succeed by being financially responsible and taking care of our teachers. We can become united again, and I'm honored to stand here and say that I'm willing and capable to help in this. Why me? Because we don't need to train new folks right now. We need to hit the ground running and get to work. Thank you so much for being here tonight, you guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, I think I am the best candidate for this position based on the experience I've gained over the years before I retired, and I have a deep belief in the importance of quality education for all students. I am willing and ready to listen to all sides of a conversation that's important to our families and the community as a whole.
Well, I'm a mom first and foremost, and I want to see my daughter succeed, but more than that, I want to see our entire district to succeed. I want to see all of our students succeed, and what drives me is knowing about students who maybe don't have the same access to resources or don't have parents who are able to get in there and get involved as much. And so how can we make sure that everybody is receiving the similar education and opportunities in Keller ISD? We have a lot of challenges ahead of us. We've talked about a lot of them tonight, the respect and bringing back integrity, doing financial transparency and accountability, figuring out how we're going to dig out of the financial situation and prepare for the future and equip ourselves to better meet the future and long-range plan for our district so that we can succeed and continue to succeed and actually do even better in the future. With resources. I got into this because I want to support our students, I want to support our teachers, and I want to be a voice for parents on the board as well and bring their concerns there. I feel like we need to broaden who is able to speak in this community and how we are pulling people in, and I will listen to whoever comes my way and wants to have a conversation and take their perspectives into account and bring it back to ask the tough questions and probe and see what solutions are there and how we can look at different ways of doing things so that we can continue to improve as a district. So that's why I'm running.
Okay, so whether you choose to vote for me or not, I can sit here in front of you and tell you with full honesty that for the last 3 years, I am the only board member that has truly fought for you, our parents, our students, and our educators, on the dais and behind closed doors. I have always been as open and honest and transparent as I've been allowed to by law. I have been respectful while having my character assassinated in the media, socials, and to my face by complete strangers and by those who I thought were friends. You know, it is easy to armchair quarterback the policy and decision making for 9 municipalities, 4,000 employees, and 34,000 plus students until you sit in one of the chairs up on that dais. Real leadership does not spread lies and call names. Real leadership gathers facts, listens to opinions, and creates unity while being respectful and professional with those they agree and disagree with. True leaders unify and bring people together and not drive division. I have accomplished a lot over the last 3 years, and I am not done. I have so much left that I want to do. And when I ran 3 years ago, it was with the goal to truly make this the best district for our students and our educators. And my vision and my values haven't changed. There is so much more to me than the narrative that has been created and the people that I've served alongside of. Some people have called me emotional, and it's not being emotional, it's being passionate, because I am passionate about this district, I'm passionate about our students, I'm passionate about our teachers, and I am passionate about this community. And you want to know why? It's because this is where my husband and I chose to raise our family. And I have been honored to serve this community, and I stand here tonight and ask for your continued support and your vote, because together we can keep Keller ISD united and strong for every student, every teacher, and every family that is out there. We can truly make KISD a destination for excellence.
I'd like to thank the North Fort Worth Alliance for putting this on tonight. Jennifer and Barbara, thank you very much. This is important. I believe in Keller ISD. This is a heritage worth saving. We can get our school district back on track. We can reverse the slide toward privatization. There is a viable path forward, but we have to get out and vote for it. If we don't vote, nothing changes. I am a man of my word, and if elected, I will work hard for our district. I have spent many hours educating myself on the issues. We have been listening. We have canvassed 7,000 plus homes in Keller ISD, and we will reach 10,000 before this campaign is over. My promise is to you tonight. I will fight for for transparency and accountability at every turn. I will never compromise my integrity or look the other way when I suspect something is wrong. I will never bring politics into our schools. I will never relent on the voucher issue, and that means I will advocate for public schools, their funding, and I will ask for your help when I do that. We must hold our legislators accountable for school funding. I will listen to the input of all the citizens of Keller ISD, not just one faction. And I will fight to bring single-member voting districts so that every community in this district has a voice. Working together, we can do this. I humbly ask you for your support, and I thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, North Fort Worth Alliance. I tell you, we've interviewed quite a few candidates for school trustee this cycle for the editorials in the Star-Telegram. The job is tougher than it's ever been. You have to understand education, you have to understand management, hiring, firing personnel, and you have to understand school finance, which is so arcane. You could take whole college courses in it. All right, I'll remind you again, early voting is from April 22nd to 29th. The easiest days to vote are Saturday and Sunday, April 26th and 27th. You can vote either at the Summer Glen Library or the Golden Triangle Library. It might be easier to go to the Tarrant County Election Center, which is off 28th. Usually the lines are shorter there than at these libraries. But don't forget to early vote. Don't wait until Memorial Day. You might go out on vacation. It might rain. Don't wait until the Saturday in May. You don't know what's going to happen. Try to go ahead and vote and get it done early. The earlier you vote, the faster you stop getting calls and mail at home. So I'll just remind you of that. Thank you all very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Appreciate you. And now, well, I'll tell you, here's what's going to happen. We're going to, because asking questions, you can stand and ask the questions afterwards if the candidates will stay behind. What I'd like to do is tell you this. It doesn't stop with electing your officials. Those people that are now in Austin, it would give you nightmares if I were to go through some of the education bills they're trying to pass down there. Just to give you, for instance, one of the ways that we lower our interest rates is to refinance bonds before they're done, so we get lower interest rates on the bonds. There's a bill to stop us from doing that. Right? You've got to pay attention to what they're doing. They're affecting your lives, and they don't know what, for the most part, they have no idea what effect that has if you don't tell them. Okay? Thank you very much for the candidates for coming. We appreciate it. And
one thing, because it was mentioned in the live stream comments, every candidate was invited. They declined or did not respond to our email at all. So everybody was included in this.
so thank you very much for coming. If you got some questions for the candidates, stop up to the table and ask them, and you can get your answers. And thanks so much for coming.
Be sure to visit our sponsors, Chris Hall Realty, The Gold Ribbon Brigade, Island Dreams Plumbing, Caitlin Fleming Photography, KQ Aesthetics, Hell of a Plan, Next Home Real Estate, Stagey Bakes, and Smokin' Axes. The live stream, provided by Sparky's Video Productions.